Good morning everyone and welcome back to my channel. I finished up the last video discussing how to apply for a federal job and how you would upload that to USA Jobs and supporting documentation. Before we begin, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can receive videos every time I upload, which will be every week. There's a total of 35 videos within this series that talks to everything federal government, from the hiring process all the way to the retirement process and beyond. Today we're going to be getting into the interview process. I know for some folks that has a little bit of tendency to make folks a little nervous, and so what we're going to try to do today, we're basically going to try to ease some of that concern. I do have some helpful tips. In the beginning, I recommend that you kind of prep, right? So have your resume on hand in the event that you need to reflect back on it. Do some research about the agency that you're interviewing with, such as, what is the history of the agency, maybe the demographics, the amount of employees, what is the mission? For example, if you're going to be working for TSA, what are the roles and responsibilities they have? If you're going to be working with Homeland Security, all the various components that is associated with that. You might want to take a look and do your research. Who's the department head and a little bit of background. Some of these things may come up during the interview process to see how much research you have done into looking into the agency. Now let's move into the dynamics of interviewing, right? There are kind of three different categories that may come up, especially working for the federal government during an interview process. The first thing is going to be situational, behavioral, and definitely technical, right? So let's jump into situational. In some cases, or in most cases, you'll have the panel may give you situational questions. It may be that you had a problematic scenario while working on the job, whether supervisory or not, and they want to kind of get some indication of how you dealt with the situation. What was the resolution process to that? Behavioral basically is going to be, I like to utilize a teamwork concept, where how well do you work with a team? If you had a major problem and you had some folks that didn't really care for the fact that you were the one handling this certain project, what techniques you would utilize to kind of bring the team together so you can solve the problem. The other category is technical, and it's pretty much basically self-explanatory. What technical skills do you possess in relation to the job that you're applying? Additionally, what are some of those resources, capabilities, things that you were administrator to, some type of software or hardware that the agency may be interested in implementing at some point? Don't sell yourself short. Please get into identifying your skill set. Now, there's another category for supervisory. So if you're applying for a supervisory position, definitely be prepared to answer some type of a leadership responsibility, the rules, regulations, things of that nature, even down to your leadership style. Working for the federal government, we have folks working from various diversities and walks of life. You do have folks that were in the military. Excuse me. So of course, the different styles of leadership and how you deal with people becomes quite critical in the future. The next thing we're going to talk about is the panel structure. In some cases, that panel may consist of 3 to 4 personnel within that unit that you're going to be working with. Generally, they're given 3 to 6 questions that they're going to ask you. Maybe objective or subjective. It depends on the wording of the questions. Usually, that gives you an opportunity to listen to the question, kind of reflect for a little bit, and then answer that question clearly and precisely. If for whatever reason you do not understand the question, do not hear the question, please ask that question. While you're answering the questions, you may be given a period of time, whether it may be a minute to 5 minutes to answer the question, because there may be a series of questions that they may ask during this timeline. So like lawyers, we say they do rapid fire questioning. Make sure that you understand the question. If you do not, ask them to repeat the question. For whatever reason you do not understand the question, please ask them to come back to it or repeat it. In many cases, we are generally nervous about the unknown. So we have this nervous tendency about ourselves where we kind of get lost in the shuffle. We may forget things. Please do not attempt to mislead the panel. If you're not sure, you can always say, hey, listen, I don't recall at this time. And you can always come back to it at a later time. The idea is that you don't jeopardize your integrity during the interview. Sometimes it's best to be just honest with yourself. Maybe the level of position that you're working in is maybe a slightly higher than you are accustomed to. So if you really don't understand, please say you basically do not know. Once the panel have asked some basic questions, they kind of score everything down. They write down your responses, and then upon completion, they kind of share their thoughts, information, and then they score it out on a score sheet. And that sheet is later utilized to determine their rating score. That rating score then determines the top 3 to 5 people. Once they have done an analysis of that and they kind of determine that they may like a few more than others, they submit that recommendation to the hiring official to say, hey, listen, we have completed the hiring process and these are the candidates that we have submitted, and leave it up to the hiring official to make that determination. Now, if one person that they really like because they like their attitude, their demeanor, and they think they would be a best fit for the organization, they could make a recommendation. But at the end of the day, it's up to the hiring official to make that determination. Once that process is complete, they turn it back over to you. And they afford you the opportunity to kind of ask the panel certain questions. Here's your opportunity to ask some questions, and I'll leave it up to you to make that determination what questions you ask. Generally, I ask questions such as, how soon are you looking to hire for this position announcement? Because sometimes it's really not up to them. They have a human resources section that is juggling many applications, and the process may take a little bit of time, which kind of may be out of their hands. There are other questions such as if the position allows you to telework, do you have to travel? Does it accommodate certain accommodations and things of that nature? Because each applicant may have a unique scenario. Once the process is basically complete and HR has reviewed the findings, they then notify you that you've been selected for the position, and they will offer you an initial offer of employment. This is not a guarantee. This is not a guarantee of employment. You still have to go through some requirements such as a background checks or security clearance forms. It may be that they have to do some reference checking and some employment verifications, things of that nature. So please do not give a notice to your job until you receive the final offer. I hope that you found this short video informative. It's not all inclusive. There's a lot to interviewing process. So if you have additional questions related to the federal interviewing process, kind of leave your comments down below and I will respond to every single one of them. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. There will be videos uploaded every week, and I want to wish everyone a safe and enjoyable day.